Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Science of B2B. I'm Kerry Cunningham, and I head up thought leadership and research at 6 Sense, and I'm a former Serious Decisions and Forrester analyst. I haven't had a theme for the last couple of episodes, which crushes my spirit, but I do have one for this. And this one comes from a really old movie, one of my favorite movies, but nobody's ever heard of it. It's called Da. And it starred Martin Sheen and this guy named Bernard Hughes, who plays this old Irish guy who's recently died. And he's described at one point, and I'm going to absolutely destroy Irish accent here, but he's described at one point by saying he spent his life sitting in a patch of brambles for fear somebody'd take his seat. And I'm afraid that describes how we are with moving on from leads in B2B. So this episode is particularly for sales, because sales, you all have gotten in the way of us doing better things for you for a long time. Now, not all of you, but many of you have. Here's the problem. You don't like the leads that you get from marketing, and you're right. They're terrible. They turn into opportunities for you at a very low rate. They close at a very low rate. They're awful. Got it. You don't like it when marketing gives you intent data, because it doesn't have names attached to it. And when you call people inside those accounts, they don't respond as if they're in market. Totally get that. But we have to use these new tools at our disposal. So I'm going to explain it right now and why we need to really go through this. Now, of course, I'm not talking to every sales rep. I know lots and lots of sales guys who are out there anxious and eager to have the best tools, but I know a lot of the conversations I see on LinkedIn are about intent data and how it's terrible. So here's the thing. The reason it's been terrible is because we've been using it the wrong way. We should not be giving you intent data so that you can go chase after an account that's in market that you know nothing about and have no contacts for, right? That's better than if you just go chasing after any other random account, but it isn't great, and we all know that. Ideally, what we want to be using intent data for is first and foremost to have marketing use that intent data to focus on the accounts that are giving signs of being in market, and to drive more engagement. When that more engagement comes, then we want to sic you on those accounts. That's the ideal circumstance, right? The ideal circumstance, we see activity, marketing drives its tactics into those accounts, gets a whole bunch of engagement, people fill out forms, they look at our content, they attend our events, then we go after them and they're nice and warm, and then we have a great conversation and they become customers, and that would be great. The problem is it almost never works that way. What we know about buying processes is that most of the buying process happens anonymously, that the buying process is 70% over by the time a person in that buying team is going to agree to talk to you, and they've already decided which vendor they want to buy from at that point. Now, they're going to go through an evaluation process with you after that, but that valuation process is confirming a decision that they've already made. It isn't making a decision. That's just the way what the data says, and that's in our buyer experience study that you can find at sixsense.com/research. So most of the time, we're going to see accounts that are giving off signs of being in market. Third-party intent signals from whatever source, or hopefully multiple sources, that say this account really does appear to be in market. And hopefully we're going to have first-party engagement. Most of that engagement is always going to be anonymous. We know from buyers, they told us that 7 out of 10 members of a buying team, the average buying team has 10 members, 7 of those people are never going to fill out a form, even if they're going to buy from you. So doesn't matter what marketing does, they're not going to fill out a form. So there's tons of those people on our website. Even the VP level folks are on your website looking at content, but they're not going to fill out a form. So you got the third party intent, you got the anonymous signal on your website, and then you've got people who may have filled out forms. Now, one of the things that I've seen over the years is let's say we get 2 MQLs from the same account, and that happens in the same week. Sales is saying, I don't want to stop giving me duplicate leads. I don't want duplicate leads. What are you doing? Why are you giving me duplicate leads? I hope nobody's getting paid for that, right? Bad, bad, bad. When you see multiple leads from the same account, what you need to understand is that that is 2 members of the buying team expressing deep enough interest that they filled out a form on the website knowing full well what's going to happen next. That is an extremely hot prospect. So if nothing else, if you get nothing else from this video, one thing is, do not get mad when you get multiple leads from an account. Get happy that you have a lot of evidence that this account is in market. all right? And encourage the BDRs and SDRs to go after multiple individuals to understand whether they're part of the same buying team, and then to set you up for success that way. But you also need to look at the anonymous traffic that same way. If you have one lead from an account and you have anonymous traffic, that is a very much better signal than if you just have one lead. And it doesn't matter what the title of the person on the lead is or how much content they consume. If you've got somebody else from that account, even if they're anonymous, looking at your content at the same time, that is a better prospect for you, right? So that's why I want to make sure that if you're in sales, we need to stop thinking about intent. Intent data is not another form of lead. And if it's being sold to you that way, then you need to push back and send them to this video and the ones that I've done here. But intent is not intended to be another kind of lead for you. It's intended to help us understand whether that account is in market. Now, there are many circumstances in which, for one reason or another, we know that this account is in market from third-party intent data. We may have some anonymous traffic on our website and nobody's filled out a form. But if we know that that account is in market and they're on our website looking at us, even if they haven't filled out a form, you got to do something about that. That account is going to go buy from somebody. You want it to be you. And if you're going to be successful, you're going to have to go find the names, and then you're going to have to try to reach those folks and enable them and make sure that they know that you love them and that you're going to be a good partner for them, even if you don't have a form fill from that account. That's just the way it is sometimes. Those accounts are going to buy from somebody. You want it to be you, and you can't sit back and wait for somebody to fill out a form, because by the time they do that, it will have been too late for you to impact that decision. All right, we're going to do one more episode in this series talking to you sales folks about the importance of intent data and how and why we want to use it, and how we think it probably ought to change how you're following up with some of those accounts that are in market but maybe aren't ready to talk to you yet. But for now, thank you very much for tuning into this episode of The Science of B2B. We'll see you next time. In the meantime, do check out our research at sixthsense.com/research, and you can see our buyer experience study, our buyer identification study, our BDR benchmark and report is there as well. All of those are free. None of them require filling out a form, so please do check it out. Thanks, everybody.